Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is breaking news, and the tension between Moscow and Europe is reaching a dangerous new level. Russian President Vladimir Putin has delivered a direct threat to European nations supporting Ukraine. His words are sharp, his tone is firm, and the message is unmistakable. He warned Europe against sending more weapons or increasing military assistance to Kyiv. This is not just another statement. This is a calculated warning designed to shake Europe's confidence and test the unity of the West. This development is spreading fast across European capitals. Leaders are calling emergency meetings. Intelligence agencies are on high alert. Analysts are examining every word of Putin's statement for hidden signals and strategic intent. Putin declared that any further support to Ukraine will be considered a direct attack on Russian security interests. He emphasized that Russia has the means and the will to respond in ways the world has never seen before. That single line has already triggered global concern. It echoes like a warning bell across diplomatic and defense circles. The atmosphere in European corridors of power is tense. Brussels is talking. Berlin is calculating. Paris is watching closely. London is preparing its response. NATO officials are carefully weighing every possible scenario. This is not just political theater. This is real power signaling from Moscow. Putin knows Europe is dealing with internal pressure, rising energy costs, inflation, and public fatigue with the war. He is playing a psychological game at the highest level, aiming to fracture unity before winter intensifies the crisis. Putin accused the West of escalating what he called a hybrid war. He framed Europe's support for Ukraine as a direct attempt to weaken Russia from within. His tone carried not just threat, but confidence. He reminded everyone that Russia remains a nuclear power and that no one should underestimate its response capabilities. European intelligence reports suggest this kind of rhetoric often precedes escalations. That means increased cyber attacks, new military maneuvers, or even energy blackmail could be on the horizon. This moment matters because Europe is not only facing a military standoff, but also an information war. Putin's warning was broadcast on Russian state television with full force painting Europe as the aggressor and Russia as the defender. It is designed to rally domestic support at home while shaking confidence abroad. This strategy has been used before, but this time the stakes are much higher. Europe is more deeply involved than ever, and the global order is more fragile than it has been in years. NATO exercises are planned near Eastern Europe. New military aid packages for Ukraine are scheduled. Sanctions on Russia are tightening. This is why Putin is turning up the heat now. By raising the stakes publicly, he is trying to put fear into European decision-making rooms. He is telling them to stop before it is too late. But European officials are saying the opposite. They are vowing to keep supporting Ukraine no matter the cost. This clash of messages is setting the stage for a volatile winter. Public opinion in Europe is split. Some support standing firm against Russian aggression. Others want their governments to focus on domestic problems. Putin is aware of this divide. His warning aims to deepen it. He wants pressure to build inside European countries. He wants protests, energy crisis, political instability, and election pressure to push leaders into reducing their support for Ukraine. It is not just a military strategy. It is psychological warfare aimed at cracking the foundation of Western unity. The Ukrainian government has already responded. Officials in Kyiv called Putin's words nothing new and said that Russia is once again trying to intimidate its allies. Ukraine argues that the only way to stop the war is to stand firm against aggression, not give in to threats. Ukrainian forces continue to rely on Western weapons and intelligence support. Their position remains clear. They will not back down, and they want Europe to hold the line as well. Meanwhile, European leaders are moving fast behind closed doors. They are coordinating messaging and planning responses. They want to avoid panic, but they also know the risks are real. Energy infrastructure remains vulnerable. Cyber defenses are being reinforced. Intelligence agencies are preparing for new rounds of hybrid attacks. The language from Moscow is being taken seriously because history has shown that when Putin talks this way, something usually follows. This is also about timing. Putin's warning comes just before winter, when energy consumption will peak. Europe still depends on some Russian energy channels despite sanctions. This gives the Kremlin leverage. A threat now carries more weight. By making this statement before the cold season, Putin is reminding Europe of its vulnerabilities. It is a power move that blends military signaling with economic pressure. In Washington, London, and Brussels, leaders are united in their public statements. They are saying they will not be intimidated. They are repeating that Ukraine will receive continued support for as long as necessary. But inside those rooms, there is concern. Putin has shown he is unpredictable. He is willing to push boundaries. That unpredictability is what makes his warning so dangerous. It is not just what he says, it is what he might do next. Tensions on the ground are rising. Russian military units are moving equipment closer to the border. There are reports of increased activity around key Russian military bases. NATO surveillance flights are intensifying. The European Union has activated crisis monitoring protocols. Everyone is watching for the next move, because the next move could shift the entire conflict's direction. This conflict has already tested Europe's resilience. Now it is testing its unity. Putin knows that a long war benefits him if the West grows tired. He knows that fear and fatigue are powerful tools. That is why his warning is not just a threat. It is a pressure campaign. It is meant to stretch European patience to its limit and force cracks to appear. The tone of his statement was sharp, deliberate, and unambiguous. He said Russia would use measures never seen before if pushed further. Those words are being dissected in military think tanks. Some experts warn this could mean expanded cyber attacks. Others say it might be military escalation around key NATO borders. Some even fear the possibility of tactical nuclear threats being revived to create panic. This ambiguity is part of the strategy. Keep the enemy guessing, keep the pressure on. In European capitals, leaders know that backing down now would send the worst possible signal. It would tell Moscow that threats work. It would encourage further aggression. That is why, despite the fear, there is a growing determination to stand firm. European governments are rushing to strengthen defense systems, coordinate with NATO allies, and secure energy supplies for winter. The stakes are higher than ever. This situation is also influencing global markets. Oil and gas prices are already climbing. Investors are bracing for uncertainty. Security analysts say this could be one of the most critical geopolitical moments since the Cold War. A single miscalculation could trigger a chain reaction that affects the entire world economy. Putin is not only speaking to Europe, he is speaking to the world. He wants to remind everyone that Russia still matters, that it still has leverage, and that it can still cause serious disruption. It is a show of force without firing a shot. But the message is as loud as any explosion. Stop or face the consequences. For Ukraine, this warning is another reminder of the brutal reality they live with daily. For Europe, it is a challenge to prove its strength and unity. For the world, it is a test of how far this conflict can stretch before it breaks something bigger. The Kremlin's playbook is clear. Apply pressure, create fear, exploit divisions, and wait for cracks to widen. But Europe is aware of this. That is why the response has been coordinated and firm. But firmness comes with risks. A misstep can lead to escalation. And escalation in this conflict does not stay local. It spreads fast. Putin's timing is no coincidence. Winter is coming. Energy demand is rising. Elections and political tensions in some European countries are near. The U.S. is focused on its own political landscape. This is the moment Moscow sees as an opportunity. When the West is distracted, divided, or tired, Russia pushes harder. In Kyiv, the message is to keep going. Officials say they will fight as long as it takes. They are calling on European nations to stand together. They believe unity is their best defense. Every shipment of weapons, every political statement, every sanction matters because it signals that the West is not folding. As of now, there are no signs of immediate de-escalation. The rhetoric is rising. The signals from Moscow are growing louder. European leaders are preparing for multiple scenarios, from cyber attacks to gas supply manipulation to direct escalation. No one wants this to spiral, but everyone knows it can. This situation has no easy answers. Europe must maintain unity under intense pressure. Russia will continue to use every tool at its disposal to undermine that unity. Ukraine will continue to fight for survival, and the rest of the world will keep watching every move, every speech, every sign of change. The warning from Putin is not just a headline, it is a turning point. It signals the next stage of this conflict where fear and strategy collide. It is about who will blink first, who will stand firm, and who will fracture under pressure. This is why the pacing of this moment matters. Every day counts. Every signal is watched. Every word is weighed. Putin understands power is not just about tanks and missiles. It is about control over the narrative, control over fear, and control over time. Europe understands this too. That is why both sides are locked in a dangerous psychological standoff that runs parallel to the military conflict. Experts are warning that the next few weeks will be decisive. If Europe maintains unity, Putin may have to adjust his strategy. If Europe begins to fracture, his pressure campaign will intensify. The stakes are enormous. It is not just about Ukraine's borders. It is about the security architecture of Europe, the credibility of the West, and the balance of power that has held for decades. This warning also forces difficult conversations behind closed doors. Some leaders worry about their economies. Some worry about public opinion turning. Others worry about being dragged into a wider war. These conversations are happening in real time as the threat from Moscow grows louder. Every European capital is calculating its next move. Every intelligence agency is running scenarios. Every news outlet is pushing updates by the minute. This is what escalation looks like before it happens. It is not sudden. It builds layer by layer, word by word, signal by signal. Putin's goal is clear. He wants to make Europe doubt itself. He wants hesitation. He wants division. But Europe knows that hesitation is dangerous. It could cost Ukraine its defense. It could cost Europe its stability. It could cost the West its credibility. This is why the messaging from European leaders remains firm. Support for Ukraine will continue. Threats will not change that. Unity will hold. That is the signal they want Moscow to receive. But they know Putin will test them again and again. The world has entered a phase where this conflict is no longer just a regional issue. It is a global power struggle playing out in real time. Energy markets are watching. Financial institutions are bracing. Military alliances are tightening. This is how modern power conflicts shape the future. Putin's words have set the stage for the next chapter. What happens next depends on how Europe responds. It is a battle of endurance, not just weapons. It is a contest of fear versus resolve. Europe cannot afford to blink. Putin is betting they will. As this unfolds, people across Europe are asking what it means for their future. Will the war expand? Will the energy crisis worsen? Will their government stay the course? These questions are on the minds of millions. And that uncertainty is exactly what Moscow wants. Uncertainty weakens resolve, but it can also harden it. This is the moment where choices define history. Putin has delivered his warning. Europe has responded with defiance. Ukraine is holding its ground. The world is watching. Every move from here will shape the outcome. This situation will continue to evolve fast. New statements will come. New moves will follow. Every shift will matter. This is why staying informed is not just useful. It is essential. The Kremlin believes pressure can break Europe. Europe believes unity can defeat pressure. One of these beliefs will be proven right in the coming months. This is not just about weapons. It is about who controls fear, who controls time, and who controls the narrative. Putin has thrown down the challenge. Europe has picked it up. The next chapter begins now. Stay tuned. The situation is moving fast. Every update will bring new layers to this unfolding story. Keep watching because this is not the end of the threat. It is the beginning of the escalation.